Everybody, this is John Redcorn, King of the Hill, and you're listening to and watching You Suck. Do me a favor, don't touch that channel. Don't change it. Don't take it like you did my land.
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to You Suck's What's the Difference podcast, the show that makes you ask questions like, what the fuck is a Yorkshire pudding? And hey, why are you pouring gravy on that scone? It's a great show that we do. I'm Alex Whiteley.
And I'm Tom Bruno.
And joined with us today is someone that you may not have heard his name, but you will have heard his voice because if you're on the same age range as we are, because TV brought us up. This guy has looked after me more than any adult ever because he's done so much work in the past. Mr. Charlie Adler, thank you very much for joining us on the show today.
It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm not going to ask you about Yorkshire pudding, but I'll tell you I love Yorkshire pudding, and I make it. And I make it. I love it. So I'll teach you how.
Oh, awesome. We were actually just having a discussion about food yesterday because there's a couple chefs that we've had the luxury of getting to know throughout our podcasting career. And there's a few things I know how to cook that Alex doesn't. And there's a few things that Alex knows how to cook that I don't. So we're thinking that would be fun to do this live cooking thing and maybe learn how to make some curry, at least for me, because I don't know how to make it.
I love it. I mean, I got to tell you, since COVID and since lockdown, I'm cooking my ass off. I'm home. I never realized I've been living in this very expensive motel for 25 years, and I would just come home and sleep in it. And now I'm like, oh my God, I'm home. It's the greatest event. COVID is not, and the suffering is not, but the event, the offshoot is. I didn't realize that I have a house that I can actually be in. So some of it is I'm cooking. And I'm really digging it. Very therapeutic. People tell me I should cook all the time. Say, fuck you, I hate cooking. I love it. I love it.
I'm the complete opposite. I am the opposite. Me and Tom, when it comes to cooking, we couldn't be any solar opposite if you tried. I'm like, I'll just order a takeaway. Tom's like, what are you doing that for? You got things in your house, buddy.
Well, I'm more like you, Alex, in that respect. But I'm also, since I'm getting my groceries delivered, I'm ordering things knowing that I'm going to cook and I can do this and I can do that. So sort of both. I'm sort of kind of doing both.
I find it interesting that it's kind of transferred, like the 1950s housewife way of living is kind of transferred from being that to being now the man's job, in a sense. I have met more men that take, a lot of respect in the fact that they know how to cook a great meal. And whenever the meal comes out, like, oh, who cooked this? I did. That was me. I made this amazing food.
It's about goddamn time. And they should do it with their children, child rearing and everything else. I mean, I cannot fathom. It is unfathomable to me what women have endured and continue to endure at the hands of moron men. I mean, why is that a big thing? Yeah, you cooked the meal. And did you clean it up too, asshole? You should have. Because I've been working all day. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how. I honestly don't know why the murder rate was not way up. All those states that we know of. A lot of shallow graves in the backyard, I think.
Tons of them. Well, if you look at it, I mean, consistently, like the most successful serial killers have always been women because they'll walk by and be like, who, me? I'm just a girl.
Me? Is that true? Is that true?
Oh, very much so. Like, there's plenty of women that got away with stuff continuously, and if I can't bring up names, once again, I've been up for 24 hours, so like my speaking abilities right now are very, very limited. I'm gonna start using signs.
I should have wore a referee outfit and brought some yellows and red cards for you today, Bruno.
Are you both in the UK?
No.
You're here, Tom.
No.
Yes, I am in Vermont. I live in the backwoods. I wrestle bears to get my mail in the morning.
It sounds like a noble pursuit. Did they buy you dinner?
I mean, they don't, but, I find them at bars, the big hairy men. I mean, I make it sound a lot better than it really is. But, I chose this way for a couple of reasons. One, because it's nice to have my kids kind of farther away from all the real problems in the world. We don't my kids have not stopped going to school throughout the entirety of COVID. At the very beginning, they stopped going. The beginning of the school year, they started and they have not stopped. Everybody else in the world has stopped and done remote learning. And there's a lot that's being not communicated. And there's a lot of interpersonal stuff that's now going on with kids right now. I'm very grateful that You know, as much as I have to drive, 45 minutes to get to a real city, but at the same point in time, my kids are, growing the way they should be.
Well, that's good. It was a great choice then.
So fuck everywhere else in the world. That's what Tom Bruno's saying. Because Vermont is the best. I'm in Shropshire in the UK, and the reason we started doing this show, Charlie, is because we've been podcasting for a while. Me in the UK, Tom in the US, and we always get lost in translation about certain things, certain words, certain phrases, and the way we do things. Right. So we started the show. What's the difference? To discuss the sort of culture between our two nations. But the one consistent thing that's always brought up are the things that we enjoyed when we were kids. The cartoons, the TV, the things that were just pumped out universally, where they were a marrying up line for me and Tom, because we liked the same shit. And you, sir, are responsible for a lot of that. And I'd just like to say sort of thanks, Dad, for bringing me up.
I'm happy you didn't say thanks, Grampy. That's good.
It's funny because you mentioned that you worked in children's TV, but a lot of the programs that you worked on, they were very borderline. We've been very fortunate to speak to other people involved with like 90s.
Currently now, since I direct more now than I perform, I direct a lot of preschool, and I work with a lot of kids, and so my public persona hasn't really changed to a degree, but I have to be respectful of that audience when I'm talking now. It's a very different experience. As an actor, yeah, I mean, early on, the shows that I did were kind of on the edge for sure, and I'm very proud of those. And I wouldn't, take this. But that's what I meant by children's television. I'm adult television and all that too.
And they're very brilliantly done, because it was only as an adult that I realized how vastly inappropriate a lot of these shows were. Like, you go back and watch Cow and Chicken, for instance, and you're like, oh, this devil is showing his rear. They are making innuendos towards sexual things. There's so much kind of like compacted into it that you don't see as a kid, because all you see is.
I never heard of that show. What was it again? Cow and Chicken?
Cow and Chicken?
Yeah, never heard of it.
No? Okay, cool. Never heard of it. Perfect.
It was nothing to do with me. I love that.
Well, we get letters. I mean, first of all, weirdly, I worked with David Feast yesterday. He directed me in a movie he's doing, and I haven't worked with him for decades. And we've been dear friends, but we haven't worked again. He had his wedding at my house about 15 years ago. So we are like brothers, but we haven't worked since Cow and Chicken. No, maybe we did one or two pilots, but that was it. But to work with him yesterday was like the biggest friggin' thrill. We were in absolute bliss, and I was playing three beings again, and it was very nuts. But I want to go back to what you said about the bawdiness, the sexual innuendo. I don't know if you were aware, and maybe you are now at this point. We did an episode called Buffalo Gals. Did you see it?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay, well, when we did it, just to set it up, it starts with, I think Cow is home, everybody's watching TV, and, Cow's saying, "Yo, mama," something, I don't know. And the door blows open with these three gals on motorcycles, and they get off their motorcycles and they start munching the carpet.
Yes,
I mean, that's how the episode starts, with carpet munching. And then at some point, I think Cal says, "Oh, mommy, I want to run off with the buffalo cows." And I forget what the hell. The father says, "Oh, Cal, I don't think you should." And mom says, "Oh, Dad, I dabbled with them when I was in college." And it was so hilarious. They all take off. Well, it aired once, and we got a letter. I wish I could remember it, but I was crying with laughter, because it was the outrage, the religious outrage, and we are Satan, we are the devil, and what we are teaching our children, blah, blah, my dead mother's ass, and all this stuff. And I thought it was great publicity. I mean, I didn't think it was bad, but then, I mean, was that with the early 90s, maybe? Oh my God. Everybody was frightened. Not David. David was thrilled. The grown-ups upstairs, were making little peepees in
controversy is a great seller, isn't it? I mean, like, some of the most controversial people on the planet have gone on to be great success, Yeah. And there's this great picture you've sent me here of you and Mark Hamill.
Well, I was directing Mark in a show called Kulapari, Army of Frogs. And that picture was taken and it was put on social media. And this lovely guy, oh, he's going to kill me. I just forget his name because I'm doing an interview. Swedish guy did a rendering of that, the animated part of Joker meets the red guy. Andrew's his first name. Anyway, he brought that to me at a convention. It was great. It was a great picture. And Mark is just maybe the sweetest human being on the planet.
Well, it's funny. I'm sorry, Alex. It's funny because, everyone now knows what a great voice actor that Mark Hamill truly is. For a while there, he was just Luke Skywalker, and he was always in the background, and he kind of joined this really tight-knit family, which is voice acting, because all you guys are so close-knit. It's really amazing to watch.
For the most part, we're really, I have to say that. Think about it. The kind of work we do is full of vulnerability in terms of being weird, and we're sort of on the outside. It's not normal what we do, and so we all see in each other the carny folk element, personalities, and we play and we dance, artistically. And when you do it for so many years together, and then you spend a lot of time in a closed room, and people are talking about their yeast infections, you get close, You get close, and we do, and we have, many of us have shared very deep and important parts of our lives with each other. It's not for nothing. There ain't nothing casual about the friendships, and some are superficial, and some I have to say there's probably, oh my God, I've been doing this and I think I voiced the Lascaux cave paintings. I've been doing this for so friggin' long, and in all those decades, and now I'm in my fourth decade. I can only count on one hand of actors I do not like. Seriously.
Oh, that's nice.
Seriously, don't like. And you may have heard, I don't hide it.
You are right, though. I mean, even with stuff today that's been brand new, say Rick and Morty, for example, you'll see Tom Kenny, Rob Paulson. You see all those things that come up all the time. So it looks, to me, I mean, from the outside, it looks very clicky. But from what you're saying, it sounds like everybody seems to we appreciate the work. We'll just do it.
I don't think it's clicky, and I never have. And I got in. If I got in, anybody could get in. And I teach, and so I say to people, I tell students, well, particularly now. There's studios everywhere. There's streaming. There's this. Everybody's doing animation. It can't be clicky. And as a sometime casting director, I'll tell you that I am not. The mandate is do not bring us the same people. We need new. We need fresh. So the clicky part I never got. It always pisses me off. But when people say that, I think it's because they are not getting in. And so you need to say, well, it's because blank, as opposed to reality, that maybe it's highly competitive. Maybe they just weren't desirable to those people at that time. It doesn't mean you're not good. It doesn't mean that people don't like you. It just means, only one person can get something, for crying out loud.
Well, I think more so what it is that, like you said, it kind of has this freak show circus type element where you got to look out for one another. I remember Tara Strong saying one time that there was a dude who did the who was it? Who was the guy that did the voice for Fred for Scooby-Doo for all those years? I can never remember his name. That's fine. Regardless,
I hate that shit.
Regardless, he did the voice for a number of years, and this gentleman came in and he kind of had this hoity-toity attitude, and he said, "Oh, I can do your voice too." And he started busting out Fred lines in the way that Fred does, but he was kind of rubbing it in the guy's face that he's like, "Oh, I'm fresh, I'm new, but I can still do your job." And nobody wanted to work with him because there's a lot of respect in your career as well.
Yes, and Tara's right, and Tara and I are very close. I have to say, though, those people are still out there, and it doesn't stop them from doing it, and it doesn't stop people from hiring them. You can't. I prefer not to dance in those areas because I have certainly replaced people, and I have been replaced. But the difference is, if I'm replacing somebody, first of all, I won't audition unless I know that that person has willingly and actively participated in their own exit. And so I'll say to my agent, I have in the past, why are we that? Isn't that so and so's? Yeah. Is this a negotiation issue? They don't want to pay the money. Yeah. Tell them to go fuck themselves.
I love that.
Why would I undercut somebody else's negotiation? I mean, do I even think I could do it? Probably not. I'm the worst impressionist on earth. But if I were to even go at something, that would not be. That just wouldn't be there. And most of us feel that way. And then there are some of those out there who have absolutely no morality about it. And I can't waste my time with them.
Is that what's happened with MODOK then? Because obviously, like, you've voiced MODOK for so long, and now we're hearing rumors about Patton Oswalt is doing a stop, animation.
You know what? First I heard of it, and I don't care. Here's how I feel about a lot of things. First of all, nobody owns a part. So, I mean, I guess I've been doing it for a while. I'm sure somebody did it before me. People keep reinventing the wheel, and they're not obligated to hire me. And one of the sweetest phone calls I ever got is my dear friend Steve Bloom called me one day, and he said, Uncle Cha-Cha, I just want you to know that they want me to audition for Starscream in a new series. And I said, okay. He said, well, I just want to make sure that you're okay with it. I said, oh, honey. I mean, first of all, thank you for this call. I mean, the call itself was enough for me. But, I was thrilled that he got it. I don't feel like I own that part. There are some parts I have deep emotional connections to. That's not one of them. Most of them not. The parts that have meant the most to me would be Cow, Chicken, Red Guy, Ickus, the Big Heads, Buster Bunny. They're not as far as I understand, they're redoing a Tiny Toons and they're not using any of the original people.
No,
and
they're
so
not.
No. And I've gotten some phone calls. Do you mind if I audition? And I go, knock yourself out. If they want me, they know where I live. And same thing with Tress. And Tress and I are very, 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 very close. And what are you going to do? I don't know.
Now, Charlie, you've done something quite amazing, actually, and I'm sure there's other examples of it, but you are probably one of the best. As we've stated before, in our childhood, you were a big part of it in so many different categories. Now, not only were you a part of Cartoon Network when Cartoon Network was booming, right? Like they were hiring the lots of like Seth MacFarlane to make shorts. They were being so daring with their content because they were really competing against two other major producers, which would be Fox Kids, of course, and Nickelodeon.
Right.
You had a part in all three of those places. You got to work with like Tom Deeney. You got to do Ickus for All Real Monsters, which is still one of my favorite kids cartoons of all time. I show that to my kids and they love it. They love that fucking show.
I love that too. I love that. And it's Paul Dini. I don't want to correct you. Are you talking about Paul Dini? You said Tom.
Yeah. Did I not say that?
No, it's okay. But I want to be respectful of him and get his name right. But yes, I think Paul was on
Tiny Toons.
Cartoon Network was Cow and Chicken, and
yes.
Nickelodeon via Klasky Chupo was Our Real Monsters, and Rocko's Modern Life was Nickelodeon, I think, too. So yeah, I mean, I was very, very lucky. But it makes me laugh now because I was in things like My Little Pony, the original My Little Pony, which I call My Little Pussy, and it was my first animated gig was the special in New York when I lived in New York. Then when I get out here, coincidentally, they're doing a series. So I was part of that Hasbro heyday where I did My Little Pony and Transformers and G.I. Joe and Glow Friends and Gem. Oh my God, Gem! Outrageous. I was so lucky to have been in the 80s. Smurfs was my first series out in LA. I mean, I was, Hanna-Barbera was my training ground, really.
How is it going from role to role then for you? Because like playing someone like Cobra Commander and then playing like a Smurf or you know, Buster Bunny or something like that. It must go like from like, okay, here's a script, you're the bad guy, play this with a bit of sass or a bit of this. Now be sweet and cute. And like, how is it going from role to role for you? Is it easy, or is it you have to practice?
This is a very strange answer. You got a minute?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is the answer. I promise this is the answer, and then I'll expand on it. I promise. But I had a knee surgery when I was, I think, 22. I was living on a houseboat in Nyack, New York, and I had a torn cartilage. And the hospital was like, you know, a couple blocks from my boat. And I went up there to do an arthroscopic surgery. So we're talking about 40. Well, I'm going to be 65 in October, so 43 years ago. So 43 years ago, I'm laying on the table, and I come out of the anesthesia, and I see this gorgeous face just looking over, and she's dabbing my brow, and she's giving me ice cube chips, and she's not saying a word, and I'm just coming to, and I'm already nauseatingly effusive without any substance. But here I am on anesthesia. Never had it in my life. And I look at her, she has a name tag and it says Mickey. And I look at her, I go, oh, Mickey, you're an angel. You're so, you could be anywhere in the world. You could do anything. And you're here and you're taking care of me. And I love you so much. And thank you, Mickey. And she looks at me and she says, it's my job. And I never have let go of that because it's my job, Alex, Tom. I don't know any other way to say it. It's what I do. I'm pre-wired probably for a good deal of it. I'm overtrained in some areas, and I am an accumulation of years of work and practice and failure and embarrassment and success and humiliation.
Poignant.
All of those things are me, and it's my job. So I couldn't tell you what it's like to switch. It's just my job. Here's a character, do it. And I'll tell you, this is, you got a minute? I said that a couple. So yesterday with David, and you know, with COVID, everybody you're facing, all your producers, and lovely, lovely people. And I have been so immersed in directing that my acting is not few and far between, but far less. It's everything I did. Then I got directing, and the ratios went down. Now it's probably I direct 80% of my career in Act 20. But the night before I worked, I actually had a sleepless night. Now I teach, so I'm telling people, you know, you can't afford fear. You can't, all these things. I'm laying in bed going, what the fuck is wrong with you? I mean, and I understand, and I understood that there was so much pressure self-imposed on me to deliver because I was there because of my reputation and because of David and because of my body of work. And it was a very different experience. It wasn't like, well, gee, I hope I get it. I got it. Now what do I do with it? And hoping that I don't let anybody down, including myself. And I realized something within the first 10 minutes. And this goes back to your question, Alex. It's what I do. And I left my body and I left my thinking and everything that came before those minutes. I was at 40,000 feet in absolute bliss. And when the plane landed, you know, when it was done, I was soaking wet. I had no idea what I did. I just knew I did it, and I did it well. I knew that they were pleased and I was pleased, but I couldn't tell you how. And it's a reflex now. It's like breathing to me. I feel like I'm a slot machine. You know, just put a quarter in. Yeah, I mean a vending machine. A quarter in. Yeah, I'd like a Hershey bar. Okay, you got a Hershey bar. And I don't know why anymore. It just is.
I can kind of relate in a small way. I haven't got the career you have. I really don't, honestly. But like I do dabble in a bit of acting. I work in a closed prison, which is now in a tourist attraction. So what they do is they tend to they use it for Halloween parks, and they do prison escape things, and it's quite cool. And they were doing this really amazing production this one year. They never got around to doing it. I don't know why. I think something to do with funding. I didn't sell enough tickets or something. But I applied for the part of Pooh Bear. This was like a reversal sort of fairy tale. So Pooh Bear has become depressed. Tigger is now sorted out his anxiety. He's absolutely fine. Tigger is in prison because he's eating Piglet. So he's feeling depressed. Eeyore has got his depression sorted out. He's very successful. And Pooh's all withered and worn. And I was reading this thing. I was kind of, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I didn't know what I was going to do until I got into the room in front of like the table where it's stand up. And I walked in and I went, "Hello, how's it going? I'm Winnie the Pooh. Oh, I'm Pooh Bear." And they were just like blown away. And it just hit me, just bam, on an instant. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just did it.
That's the answer, right?
Yeah. It's just crazy how that happens.
I mean, improv is, I think, a great foundation for what actors do. And if you were able to do that, and it sounds like you did, you walked in, and you left yourself, you owned it, and you did it. Sometimes it's terror that gets us there. Sometimes it's I don't know what it is. I never know what it is. I just know that
something beautiful though. It's something beautiful.
Lovely. I've been working since I'm 15, so I mean, I better get it right for fuck's sake. 48 years.
You did Paddington Bear as well, which is a big deal for me because I'm British and all that, you know.
I think it was, yes. I believe Paddington Bear. I think he was very. Oh yes, Mr. Brown. Oh no, Mrs. Brown. Oh yes. Yes, Mr. Curry. Oh no, Mr. Curry. But I couldn't possibly, Mr. Curry.
And by the way, Tim Curry was Mr. Curry.
Yeah.
And so we were. You know, he's one of my nearest and dearest. And, you know, then we were like, can we just take a break and have a cigarette? And, but that cast was thrilling. It was Jonathan Harris who was Dr. Smith in Lost in Space, Georgia Brown, the legendary musical theater star Georgia Brown, who originated Nancy and Oliver. And just a remarkable John Standing, another thrilling British actor. And Clive Revell, my God, Clive was in this. He was the original Fagin in Oliver. It was wonderful, and the wonderful director who really shepherded all of us at Hanna-Barbera, Gordon Hunt, who's Helen Hunt's father. Wow! And I was always in trouble, always, even when I was behaving, I was in trouble. And he'd say to me, "I need to talk to you." And I went, "Oh, shit, what I do?" So for me, it was like, "What do I do now?" And I went into his office, he closed the door, he said, "I want you to hear this." And he played me a message from, I hope you know who this is. You know who Glynis Johns is? Glynis Johns was a great, still is alive, I believe. She's close to 100, if not more. Oh, wow. Beloved movie star, theater star. She originated the song Send in the Clowns for Stephen Sondheim.
Wow.
She was the mother in Mary Poppins. She did movies with Danny Kaye. She was a great star. Beautiful, breathtaking in every way. And the message was,
"Hello, Gordon, it's Glynis. I'm terribly, terribly disappointed that I wasn't able to play Paddington Bear. I thought I was born to play Paddington Bear, and I'm terribly disappointed. And I just wanted you to know because I thought I gave a very good audition."
And I'm sitting there, and I'm listening to Glynis Johns, and it was maybe the first time in my life I thought I wanted to give my part away because I had swooned. First of all, she just made me swoon, period, from all of her work. And then to hear that gorgeous, glorious voice and how darling she was and how vulnerable she was. And it was important to her. And here's this little puke from New York, you know, doing this.
Oh, yes, Mr. Brown.
What the fuck? And I was honored and I was shamed and I was thrilled and I was guilty and all of the above. But I loved that show. And I had the most wonderful time because the cast was just a bunch of truants. We were just bad children.
Tim Curry as well, though. It sounds like quite fun.
Oh my God! It might have been that. I'm not quite sure because we had worked together a ton at Hanna-Barbera. I'm not sure if this is timeline right. I think it might be Paddington. Let's just say it is for the purpose of this idiotic story. But he had done it, and I had watched it the night before. And I was so disturbed and short-circuited by it that when I got to work, and we usually would meet, you know, in the stairwell at Hanna-Barbera, have a cigarette, hang out, yak. I looked at him. He said, "Dole," and I said, "Don't talk to me. Just get away from me. I can't even look at you." He said, "What do I do?" I said, I can't know you. You scared the shit out of me. I mean, that's how it affected me, and I wasn't kidding. I was half kidding. but he made me. It was. I was so unnerved. He was brilliant in that. Oh my god,
he was fantastic.
Oh,
Tim Curry is.
I mean, what was he not brilliant in, right?
I do have to ask you a question. Tom, did you want to go first? Before I'm going to segue what the fuck out of this.
I was going to say, like, with such an illustrious career, was there ever an opportunity that you did not get to do? Because, I mean, with all the things you have done,
probably
I mean,
about 10,000. I'm sure about 10,000. But if you ask me what they were, I have never, ever been, I shouldn't say that. There may be one or two, and I can't think of them at the minute, or I would happily tell you what they were. But I am sure there were hundreds of things that I didn't get, that I wanted to get, that I felt disappointed that I didn't get. But as I have learned over time, it isn't yours until it's yours. And if it isn't yours, there's something else. And I don't look for anything beyond somebody else got it. I don't go, oh, wow. And, you know, it's out of my control. I do the best.
Of course.
I hope I get it when I'm in it. But when I tell you this, and I swear on my dead mother's ass, I do not remember anything I auditioned for. I audition and I delete. That's it.
Good.
I invest nothing except when I'm there. I don't invest in it. It just goes away. And I can't think of anything that I'm dying to get. I have hopes for some things. I don't make it sound like I don't give a shit. I do a lot, but I can't afford those feelings. I just can't. Not to mention, I can't remember anything. So,
I mean, it must have been an extraordinary journey for you, having to work through so many decades, like you said, 80s, 90s, noughties, 10s, and now we're in the 20s, and you're still going. You know, this is it's a long time to. And something intrigued me earlier. I watched it today. It was a Jimmy Fallon interview with Elizabeth Olsen, and they did like the intro in like different sort of eras, because that's what the show is like. When I think of someone doing voice acting, I think of Mrs. Doubtfire, you know, that Robin Williams scene where they always go in and they, you know, the baby smoking or something like that, and they're just banter between each other when they're doing that. I imagine a montage of different hairstyles and cigarette smoke in the 90s and everything. What is it like? What's it been like for you to work in every single? Is it like that? Is it a case of everything's changed, or is it just very much work as normal? I think that kind of makes sense.
Really deep question, and I want to answer it well, because it really causes me to think about. Well, first of all, I just want to say I quit smoking. So a long time ago. The cigarette smoke image probably was only in the 80s for a very brief time. However, yeah, everything's changed. But I have to say something about that. That is the function of art, is to reflect the world that we are in. That's the function of artists. That is the function of all art. That's visual art, that's writing, that's music, that's anything. And so because of that, I think times have changed and art has changed along with it, hopefully. Like you said earlier, Tom, about, you know, we got away with a lot of stuff. Now it's sort of commonplace. Social commentary is different. Satire is different. What we write about, how we tell stories is different. The stories we tell now are different. So I think if you don't reinvent yourself, you're a friggin' idiot. And I think if you don't, you know, keep being in life, in the present, I can't look back and go, well, it was the golden time in the 80s. We were, you know, as my friend Ginny McSwain would say, I am big as the cartoons that got small. I mean, you know, it just keeps evolving. And now there's mocap, and there's a whole different bunch of things, and there's CG, and it's very exciting. I'm directing the redo of Rugrats, which is so stunning I cannot even tell you. And I had directed, you know, it's breathtaking. When I tell you it's breathtaking, and it's a perfect example because they have contemporized. It's the same core group of gals who played the characters we all love. The look is so extraordinary. Every time I see it, my mind is blown. The writing is so brilliant. The idea of how culture has evolved from the time it started till now, you really do see that there's so many things that will be forever the same, and then the things that have changed culturally we can laugh at. We can see, we can point to them and live with that. So yeah, of course things have changed. And
I mean, technology's changed, hasn't it? Technology. I mean, I bet during COVID, have you been able to carry on working, record some voices, then send them over?
Alex, Jesus, I mean, I live outside of LA, so my commute with traffic was an hour and a half each way. So I'm talking, I gained 15 hours a week, and I had wonderful friends and engineers at Nickelodeon who really helped me and set me up, and via remote got me into the setup. And then now where I'm directing 5 series now. I did 3 movies this year. I mean, it is, and I'm in a few. It's crazy because the time is used in a very different way. Now, that's the upside. The downside is, I'm working 12 hours a day sometimes, but so is everybody else.
Wonder what that's like. I don't know.
You know what it's like? The world is suffering, and I'm getting to work. How lucky are we that we in a world that is really in great peril get to do and feed ourselves and have food delivered. I talk about shame and guilt, and at the same time get to hold on to the essences of ourselves, which is I need to work. My soul needs to work. I need to create. I need to be engaged, but I'm perfectly happy to do it from here and not be in a car.
You guys are doing something very important though, because a network might survive on actors like yourself that can still produce content, because there's been a fallback in sort of delays in things because of COVID, So what you're doing is actually very, very important, because you're keeping networks alive.
Well, that's certainly not my motive. I'd love to wear a little nurse helmet and say, God, I'm running around doing the blitzkrieg. That's not what I'm doing. I'm invited to work and I'm doing what I do. I'm happy that the offshoot of that is that other people get to work and our industry gets to survive and a network gets to, but I don't get any medals for that. I mean, the nurses and doctors and people in emergency rooms who are saving lives, they get medals. And frontline workers and janitors and cooks and everyone who's providing for everybody to get through this, they get medals. I'm just a lucky motherfucker. And that's all I could say about it. Really, that's all I can say about it. I don't deserve anything other than I'm lucky. My mother used to say to me, "Oh, honey." Oh, I would guess she's in her later years. She'd come and visit me out here in LA, and she'd say, "Oh, honey, you deserve it." I'd say, "Ma, I don't deserve shit. Women deserve to not get beaten in their homes. Children deserve to get fed. People deserve to be safe. I don't deserve my career. I don't deserve my house. I don't deserve any of that. I'm very just noble. A lucky motherfucker." And that's all I got.
I mean, this is bad form, but I would want to argue with you about that, because you did feed. In fact, you fed my creativity. You fed my curiosity as a kid. I mean, you gave me so many hours of enjoyment and still continue to do so that, I mean, honestly, those are things that I can never give back to you, sir. So I would beg to differ.
That so much, but I want to, and from where you sit, I accept that with all my heart. But if you think that was my motive, you're out of your fucking mind.
No, not at all. I'm sure that you went in for a paycheck just like everybody else does, but it doesn't change the outcome of it all.
No, you're right. And I'll tell you, I have to be reminded of this. I don't want to be ungracious about that at all. I receive it. It means the world to me. It does. It really does. I did not know what that meant. I grew up working live theater. I got gratified during real time. I'd go home. I'd go to work. I'd go home. I did commercials. They were on the air within 3 weeks. I got blah, blah, whatever it was. This was a different thing for me. I did not know. We perform in a vacuum. 9 months later, the show's on. I'm on to something else. I didn't watch anything that I did. I didn't pay attention to it. I just went to work and loved it. And then I went home to real life. So flash forward, every year I threw a Christmas party for my agents at my house. And this particular year I'm talking about, a girl I spoke to every single day on the phone who organized all my appointments, a doll, but I never met her face to face. And she's standing at the bar in my house, which is very well stocked. And I'm shaking her a martini and she starts to cry. And all I think is I fucked up the martini. I mean, honestly, I'm thinking, what did I do? Really? I know. I'm the original. What did I do? And I said, I won't say her name. What is it? And she said, you have no idea. And she tells me that, I'll give you the short form, a good deal of her childhood, part of which was the one thing in this mass amount of loss and suffering that she was experiencing, and coming home to an empty house and being a latchkey kid and feeling isolated, that the one thing that kept her together was Tiny Toons. It was like the earth had swallowed me up. I couldn't even get, it was the first time, but it was the first time that she's an adult at this point. So I'm talking maybe 15, 18 years ago. It rattled my cage because it forced me to think about what you said, my work has had impact, which is a wonderful thing to know. It is, but it's not my motive. My motive is my selfish desire to be an artist and to do what I do. And I'm so lucky that I get to do it. The great part of it is it has made a difference. And then I can take that with intent and make a difference socially, where I can have knowing valuable impact. I can also say no to certain things. I can say yes to certain things. And I can take my success and channel it into causes that are important to me politically and as an activist. Those are the great offshoots. But it wasn't until that day, and then starting to go to conventions, where I started to understand that people actually gave a shit. I made a mark. I didn't know.
I think this is the thing as well. Some of the voice acting greats, I consider you as royalty when it comes to voice acting. And the people like Tom Kenny, the people like Rob Paulson, the people that have gone there, Dan Castellino, all these kind of people, like, they made things for us when we were younger, and now we're older. There are things like Comic-Con, and we can go onto IMDb and we can look at who do these things. There's more awareness now to who you guys are, and it's beautiful.
I think you're right, Alex. I do think you're right, because I can remember, and when I was doing Tiny Toons, my agent at the time said, "You really should hire a publicist." And what the fuck is that? And I did, and she was publicizing Tiny Toons, and I got this call, very irate call, from one of the network heads, who ripped me a new one and said, "How dare you publicize?" And then it was followed by, and Steven, being Steven Spielberg, felt it really ruins the magic for so many children. And my response was, well, have you been to Universal? Did you see what they showed, that E.T.'s just a plastic thing on a bike? And I'm ruining the magic for kids? What? Oh, and Jaws, that doesn't ruin it. It was so bizarre to me, but that was how we were perceived. Is that, well, you can't, no one should know who's doing these voices. Piss off. It's my work. I get to decide how I represent my work. You don't pay me enough to shove me in a basement in a root cellar with the door locked.
That's a real disservice to your craft, I must say, because, without all the people that made this, effort possible, we wouldn't have the outcome of what we had. So it really seems really kind of shitty for them to do that to you.
I think it is never, I don't think the intent ever was shitty. The offshoot is shitty. I agree. I think some of it came from a real concern about their project, whether it was well placed or well thought out. I think it was, self-protection. Some of it was they wanted to control their own publicity, and they get to decide that. I get all of that from a business standpoint, but from where, business, commerce and art have never been good friends. And, you have to learn, and I'm not, some of my compadres are so much better at this and really, really clever. I've just been, an opinionated, loose cannon about stuff. And I've paid my prices for it, but I wouldn't change a goddamn thing. They're them, I'm me. but
Yeah.
I have friends who played the game so much better, and I have done some stupid things.
We all do. That's how we learn, though, isn't it?
Sure. And look, I'm not dead, and we're having a great conversation about, I'm still, in my opinion, relevant, and I guess in yours too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so part of my life is, well, boy, you really screwed that one up. And part of it is I'm glad I did screw that one up, because whatever. You just got to do it. I gotta be me. I gotta be me. I don't know. You just do it.
When it comes to reprising roles, though, say with Starscream, for example, what's it like taking a beloved character like that and taking over that and making it yours? What is that like for you? Because you've got to get it right, though.
You're going to hate me so much. I'm probably the worst interview in the history of your career. The answers are so disappointing. First of all, the assumption is that I watched cartoons and or knew any of this. The lore, I didn't. I went to work. I loved my job and I left. I didn't know crap from Christmas about Starscream or Little Monkey Boy or the Little Pee-Pee Twins. I didn't know. I auditioned for something. I did what I thought was right. I got the gig. And then when I heard, well, so-and-so used to do that and now they're dead, I'd go, oh, I remember him. Oh, he was a sweet guy. Is that what he did? Yeah. Oh,
Send him a fruit basket.
But it attributes an intelligence and awareness to me that I had never had. I never followed those things. So I didn't know I was doing a legacy role because I didn't give a shit about the Transformers. I didn't know what it was. I was in the series and I didn't know what it was. I didn't understand it. I didn't know if I was a good guy or a bad guy. I just understood the script. In this one, I had to yell, and there I was mad at that guy, and I was fighting for that, but I didn't in the aggregate know the legacy of any of it. And so in particular, some of those roles that I have, done and redone. I mean, I've done Cobra Commander. I think I've done 5 different incarnations of it. I mean, should I feel badly that I took over my own part? How did I feel doing it differently? It's just a part. It's a job. It's my job.
That's what I do. Well, that's great.
I think fans are going to hate me for those answers. I know. I did a panel at the Improv. I think it might have been. It was one of the GI that or Transformers, and I was on a panel with people I worked with for years, and I actually said publicly for the first time, I had no idea. Was I a bad guy? I think I said, and I forget the term for the bad guys or the good guys, something bot. And I said, wait a minute. So those were the good guys? I really meant it. So I was a good guy? Oh, did it change anything? I had a goal. I had a win. My character had to kill somebody or shoot somebody. What difference does it make?
I think it depends if you're,
It's.
I mean, you're a likable guy. It depends on. I think Gwyneth Paltrow very famously was kind of like, I was in that movie about one of the Avengers movies, and everybody's like, "What the fuck, man?" As if she just. But you're a likable guy. People like you, so I'm like, that's really funny,
Well, I don't mean to in any way offend anybody. I'm not being cavalier, and I'm not acting as if it didn't mean something to me. Yeah. It means a great deal to me. But having said that, I don't have that bandwidth. I just never did. And, the things that I watched growing up I thought Irene Ryan as Granny in the Beverly Hillbillies was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. And Billy Hayes as Witchy Poo, who's still my friend, who's in her 90s. I mean, those were performances that I cottoned to. The only cartoons that I watched growing up, ever watched, was a show called Crazy Cat. I loved Crazy Cat. And I think I watched Popeye. I did not watch any other cartoon, ever. I watched the Three Stooges. I thought they were the funniest things that ever still do. Curly still makes me laugh harder than anything on the planet. Anything. Curly, I'm gone. Hardy, Charlie Chaplin. Those were people I understood. I didn't understand half of what I did.
I have a long con joke that I think you'll appreciate, Charlie, which actually goes back to Starscream. He was my favorite of Decepticons, which is that name that you couldn't remember. I got a fake tooth. My wife works for a dentist's office. She has ever since she was in high school, and luckily I've been able to get free dental for the longest time. She worked for a very upscale dental place, and when I lost a tooth, they're like, oh, we can give you a fake tooth. You know, it's going to be implanted in your mouth. And I was like, awesome. And they said, well, we can put a tattoo on it of anything you want. You just got to pick a design. Yeah. It's in back here. I don't ever get to see it. So I was like, fuck, I got to really pick something that means something to me. And I didn't end up doing that. What I did was I went with the joke. So initially, I wanted to be cremated. That was always my thing. I'm like, cremate me, throw me in the fucking ocean. I don't really care. I'm gonna be dead. Who gives a shit? But now I need to be buried because what I chose was the Decepticon symbol. So eventually, when somebody digs up my fucking corpse, they're like, "Oh my god, it's a transformer!" And that's what I fucking picked. And it's back.
Or as I'm thinking, what if they dig up? They go, "What is that?"
That would disappoint me. That would so disappoint me. I should have gotten a dick tattoo to my mouth now. So they'd be like, oh, I know what that is. He's that dude like dick. All right, that makes sense.
I get it. I can't believe they could laser that shit on. That's crazy.
It was crazy. The things they can do nowadays. But I got to say, Charlie, like some of my happiest memories, I'm going to list them off really quick. When I was a kid after trick-or-treating, I saw Trick or Treat, wherever the fuck it was on Nickelodeon. It was this really cool thing where they played all the best Halloween episodes. All Real Monsters, of course, was on there. I remember one really important summer when it was, you know, I didn't have a lot going on. I only had so many friends and they were off doing other things. That was the same summer that How I Spent My Summer Vacation came out. When I was figuring out
Tiny Toons.
Yes, yeah, exactly. With the Chainsaw Massacre and all that good stuff. And also when I was kind of like growing up a little bit and I started like getting into the cartoon of it all and how important Cow and Chicken, how like raunchy, funny, and how it was so different than Ren and Stimpy, but it still kind of had that feeling to it. Like all these things are just so important to me. And I just gotta say, man, like I really appreciate you taking the time to come out here and talk to us about it because it means the world to me.
I'm so honored by this, and I know I'm gonna when we disconnect, I'm gonna go. Oh God, I hope I didn't offend anybody about.
No, darling, you've been
honesty, man. Honesty is the most important thing of this show, man. And that's all you've been giving us, and that's all we could ever ask for.
Well, yeah, but I've learned that some of my honesty shouldn't always be expressed. So I mean, I get that, but it is important to me to sort of say these kinds of things because, the one thing that has been made clear to me is that we, and I'm part of this, tend to objectify people that we look up to. And on one hand, that's extraordinary. On the other hand, it takes away their humanity sometimes. And so it's important for me, not for anybody else, for me, to not be this thing.
Yeah.
I'm a lot of things.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
And so I'm a whole person. And I'm not Mr. Pee-Pee, wee-wee, noo-noo, cocky. That's my work and I'm proud of it and I love it. And I'm so honored by the accolades now. I am. And I really want more. It's not like I'm going, I don't want it. I'm not going, stop. I'm not.
I feel like if you're remaking Rugrats, there's more awards to come because I mean things like that are just phenomenally successful.
Oh my God.
It's hugely successful. But does that add pressure though? I mean, or do you not care? Like, do you just want to make it and see what happens, or do you really want to go out there and get those awards with something like Rugrats?
It's really funny that you asked that. I have an Emmy and I have a nomination that I got last year for a show that I'm very proud of, which was Kung Fu Village, Pause of Destiny. I was proud of that because that show took a lot. I know what I brought to the show, and I know the effect I had at work at the time, and the collective of every single person on that. Everybody was at the top of their game. That's when it matters to me. There are shows that I do that I don't feel that about. I feel that about Rugrats. Rugrats are so extraordinary, and I'm on a show now called A Little Wild. I'm voice directing Madagascar A Little Wild. I'm very proud of that too. It's a gorgeous show. I'll tell you something else that I've been directing, and that's Harriet the Spy for Henson and Apple. I am so proud of it. I am so proud of that show. I think it's stunning. The performances are stunning. I'm in my 6th season of directing Blaze and the Monster Machines preschool show.
You do that?
Yeah.
Really? My kids love that fucking show, man.
Yeah, it's a great show. I mean, that's part of, so there are shows that I do that are significant to me, that it's lovely to have, when you feel so great about something that you've done, to have it seen in the same way as you see it. It's rare that it does. And I'm not a big fan of awards because there are so many gifted, brilliant people. Everybody can't win.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. My child is an honor roll student. And, I drive by and every child, oh, this kid showed up. Let's give him a trophy. We're in that kind of culture too. It's weird. And there are politics behind, all these things that we, really, I mean, before innocent kids get these, the kids become the trophies. But anyway, I think, words are what they are. I mean, I work with some of the most gifted.
You've got this rich history, and you've sent me loads of pictures. And I know we've got like 4 or 5 minutes left. And I was wondering if we could just go through some of these pictures and we can just talk about what they mean to you. I know we've got quite a few. So we've got Rocco's Modern Life.
Heaven, that was Bliss playing the big heads and that cast.
I randomly brought this up here. Tom was chatting, but that's Starscream.
Yeah, we did that to death. Oh, yeah, baboon.
I am. Oh my God.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, it's Kaylee. Oh, that's the other thing I'm directing. I'm directing Kaylee Cuoco in Harley Quinn. I did last season, and I also played her father in one episode I was very proud of called Bensonhurst, which was.
You're directing the Harley Quinn series? No,
I'm directing just Kaylee's performance.
Oh wow!
Kaylee, that's why I met Kaylee was on. And Dean Laurie directed the first season. Of the other actors were so brilliant. And this year, I think it's Patrick Schumacher, one of the writer producers. And Kaylee and I just have this great connection, and they wanted me to do it, and she wanted me to do it, and so I'm doing it. But she was Brandy, and it was the first animated job she did, and I just flipped for that kid. She's brilliant.
She's great. She is great.
Brilliant. An angel.
Yeah.
So we are running short on time. A couple things. One, when you are done getting through Rugrats and doing all the stuff that you're involved in, we would love to have you come back on, because you are just a national treasure, Charlie, man. You are so much fun to talk to. Thank you. I appreciate that very much, and I'll come back anytime you want me, if I can find the time. And I know it was a pain in the ass getting me the first time. And then I was so anxious. I showed up last week and sat here like a moron.
Yeah, I remember that.
Fucking idiot. I got
the email. Where are you guys? And we were like,
I'm sitting here going, God damn, stood up.
Unprofessional motherfuckers. I was a big head.
Then I call Marcia, my manager, and she says, "You moron, you're a week early." It's better to be early than late, I gotta say. I like to end this, and we should always make this the beginning question, but I've been falling in love with this one question. Clearly, this is who you are now. This is who you've been for decades. What did you want to be when you were a kid? Veterinarian, an artist, a veterinarian. I think those were my top two. Those are my top two. But I still paint, and I'm surrounded by animals, and mostly in the booth. And I love what found me, but it ain't over yet. It's true. So I still got some shit I got to do. I mean, you could always be the first artist that's a veterinarian at the same time. Just take the dead animals and start painting with their blood or something. I mean, nobody would hold it against you. You're a good guy. I intend to save them and rescue them. Amazing.
Don't need this anymore. Put it on frame. We were going to very sort of cheekily and sort of maybe ask you if you could do maybe an intro for us for the show. Are you allowed to do that? Because I remember actually I went up to a con. I was there was a panel that I was recording for a show, and I went up to Charles Martinet, who does Mario. He's amazing, brilliant guy. Oh my god, he's such a brilliant guy. He's so full of energy.
kind, good, everything good in a human being is Charles.
And I asked him, I said, can we record a video of you saying to my son, hey, it's me Mario, make sure you tidy your room or something like that. And he's like, I really can't. I can't. He's like, I got to be so careful because I don't own the voice and I don't want to get sued or you.
I own my voices. They don't own my voice. They own the drawing. They own the name. They don't own my voice. You want to own my voice? Good luck to you.
I was going to flip this to Tom. If you were going to ask Charlie to intro USUK as any one of his amazing zany characters, who would you ask him to do it?
Oh, Icus, please and thank you, Icus, for the love of God. Okay. Really quickly. I when I left, I had to pull my pork belly out of the oven so it wouldn't get ruined. Chef, I had to fight so hard not to throw on my Nicktoons shirt, but I was like, they're really gonna notice me throwing on a fucking Nicktoons shirt that's completely white and you're wearing a black shirt.
If I didn't notice I was a Decepticon, do you think I'm gonna notice your shirt?
You might. I'm right in your face right now. You might be like, what is that fucking idiot doing? Is that a Nick? Oh, that's so nice. What is he partly retarded? Oh,
don't say that word anymore.
Oh, that's right. That's very special on the spectrum.
Yeah.
You could. I mean, honestly, Charlie, you could. We asked Jonathan Joss really nicely to just kind of say, hey guys, you're listening and watching the USUK network, stay tuned or whatever you might want to say. You can literally ad lib. You can say that you're gonna fuck my mom tonight, Charlie, and I'll accept it. And I'll be like, do it. No, I'll call you dad. I don't care.
No, not fucking anyone's mom or dad.
Oh, now I'm disappointed.
It's not that kind of show, Tom.
You say anymore. It's not, but
so you want me to say as Icus,
hi, this is Icus from Our Real Monsters, and I would like very much to ask you, if you don't mind, to watch the USUK network with Tom, Bruno, and Alex Whiteley. Oh, that's all. I have to go flush myself now.
What an absolute honor! An absolute honor that is. Are you on Cameo or anything like that?
What?
Are you on Cameo or anything like that? Can people buy like things?
You need to be. You need to be.
No, I don't need to be. No, thank you.
Yes, you do. No, you get a donation from me every single week. You'd be like, oh, it's Tom again. Hi, Tom. All right. Which voice is this week?
It's just not for me. It's just not for me.
Sounds like you're busy enough.
At a convention. I'm not. I don't know what it is. I think it's great that my friends are and people are doing very well on it. It makes a lot of people happy. It's just not my.
No, that's very humble of you. Very humble.
Yes, very honorable.
I'm just not comfortable.
Is there anything that you would like to plug? Is there anything that you've got coming up that you'd like to tell people about?
Well, I think I did. I mean, Rugrats, look for it. It's going to be breathtaking. Harriet the Spy, A Little Wild, Heavenly, Blaze. Oh God, I'm gonna forget one. Oh, Harley Quinn.
Yeah,
I love all those series, and they're all worth watching, in my opinion, for different reasons. But it will be so thrilling for me to see Rugrats released into the world, and Harriet the Spy, which the writing in Harriet the Spy just knocked my socks off. It was really beautiful, and Rugrats is so extraordinary that I can't even tell you what it means to me to see it this way. And I was nervous. Everybody's been nervous about it, but every actor, when they start to see the footage, has the same reaction. They lose their shit. It's so breathtaking. Never mind the writing. Before we even get to that animation stage, the writing is so thrilling. Everything about it. I can't say enough great about it. And that's the kiss of death because, me.
You're proud of your work.
My taste is
beautiful.
I will be watching the new Rugrats, if not just to force my children to be like, look at Rugrats, look how good it looks. And I'm very
do the Clockwork Orange thing with your kids, tie them up.
Yes, yeah, it drops. It'd be all good. Get them some cod pieces. It'd be good. It'd be a good time. It's a family together thing.
Yeah, it sounds good. Wholesome, very wholesome. Yeah.
Well, you have been a tremendous guest. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'll come back anytime. I will.
Oh, brilliant. That'd be awesome. I'd love to catch up with you, like Tom said, when Rugrats.
Let's just hope that people stay safe and wear masks and get vaccines. And that,
I'm vaccinated. Done it.
You're very lucky. I'm 6 months shy of being old enough to get one with no pre-existing condition except crazy. So they don't care if you're crazy. So I gotta wait. Yeah. But anyway, to everybody out there, stay safe, please, and let the world restore to some sort of sense of normalcy. And stay well, you guys. Thanks for having me very much.
No, thank you.
What we tend to do now is
stage now. Hold on.
What we tend to do now is we let you go, and we're going to finish off for the next sort of half an hour and geek out. We're going to be talking a bit of Babs Bunny, all the controversy.
How the hell did I get out of here? Wait a minute. Exit.
There's a leave studio button there.
Yes, leave studio. Yes, leave studio. Oh God. Really, I'm gonna put my little X on and say adios.
Ciao.
Au revoir.
Thanks, guys.
Peace out. Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow. I'm actually it's weird how that happens, right? Because when we do interviews like that, we're like in the game, we're in the moment, right? And we don't let it slip because we've got to be professional. But now that's happened, I'm actually shaking. What? Such a
little bit, dude. Like, I mean, and this is not an insult to any other guest. Thank you, everyone, for coming on the show. We are so incredibly, slobberingly grateful for the fact that you decided to come on this, silly little indie podcast that me and Alex have been doing for just about 3 years. But I think my face hurts from smiling, and I have not had that yet, and it's just phenomenal.
What a great guy. He's proud to be a good guy, but at the same time, he's just himself. And I think you could all take something from that, I think, because
oh, fuck yeah.
I worry about my reputation and stuff and about what people would think about what I say and how I behave and stuff like that. But you can just be, you, right? You can be you, yes. But just don't be a dick, I think. And that's it. He's a charming chap. And that's obviously.
And by the way, he's 60 years old and he's better in shape than either one of us combined. What the fuck's that all about? Dude, huge, monstrous. Do you think it's because he's like, I do silly voices, but I'm gonna fuck your world up?
Yeah, what an amazing guest. I think I'm speechless by that. And the notes I was taking whilst we were recording there was just so that I could not look a dick, because like this is a person I don't want to look terrible for. But I think we did that really well.
I think so, and not to suck our own dicks, and thank you for asking at the very end, because like you were saying, I was getting very nervous at the end. I wasn't gonna have the balls to ask for the voice, and I know it sounds a little silly, guys, but the fact is that like when it comes to people that we respect, it changes the tone of the show a little bit, just a little bit. That's why I always kind of insist upon not listening to anyone's stuff. That's why I don't listen back to our stuff, because I don't want to change the tone or the feeling of the show, what it could be or what it should be. And when we got through with that, I was just so elated with how everything went and how everything, I didn't want to taint it by asking, but you, my good sir, being the director that you are, being the good guy, being like, hey man, so I hate to ask, but will you please do this for us? And him being just so gracious to do it, just wow, that tickled me to no end.
He knew it was coming. He knew it.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. He was kind of like, yeah, here it is.
And I got to laugh at him.
Yeah,
made me proud. Yeah.
He's a charming chap. I'm so pleased with that. He sent me so many pictures. I'm going to go through some of them because we didn't have time to. But let's see if we can name any of these characters. Do you know who that is?
It looks like from Captain Planet or from G.I. Joe.
Possibly G.I. Joe's, that sort of thing.
That's from My Little Pony. So that was the voice he did for the original generation of the weird-looking My Little Pony, or My Little Pussy, as he calls it.
I don't know who that is.
I have no idea. Nope.
I think that's the one he's doing with Kaylee Cuoco. He's directing Kaylee Cuoco. Jesus Christ. He's making the new Rugrats. That was a hell of a guest to get.
I know, right? Talk about being on top of...
I don't know why these are blurry.
I don't know, bad pick, but I mean, like, talk about being having our finger on the pulse of stuff. You, especially, good sir, because you pulled that out of nowhere. Nowhere in a million years would I have been like, oh, let's look up the dude who does all the voices of my childhood. I mean, we do that sometimes, but generally speaking, it's things that I'm currently watching. I'm not currently watching any of those shows. Like, my kids are into their own things. I don't get to force feed them my TV anymore. You know, they've developed to be their own people. So I haven't thought about any of that stuff in so long that when you were like, dude, this is the gentleman that's coming on, and the entire time you're saying Charlie Adler, I was like, oh, we've had Charlie Adler on before, and you're like, no, that's a different guy. And I'm like, who? And then you started listing off the accolades, and I was like, oh my
Emmy winner,
God.
Fucking
Emmy would. We need an Emmy. That's what we need. That's what we're fucking missing, Alex. We're missing
an Emmy, not me. You.
No,
it's all about you.
No,
about
sir.
You.
If people might hear me talk the most, but if they knew the treacherous amount of hours that you put into everything, dude, they would be like, "Oh, give him a fucking Oscar."
Yeah, I wish it reflected in other ways sometimes. But you know what? You guys, the USUK team and the Biscuiteers, you guys all just keep me going because without you guys, I'd have gone fucking batshit crazy a long time ago. Because I love what I do. But you know, it's heartbreaking when you don't get the reception I feel like this show deserves. You know, because we do amazing stuff. You know,
and once again, not to suck our own dicks, but the fact is that like I will always stand by the fact that this is our legacy, right? Like, of course, our families, our friends, our children, those are real legacies. But like, as part of our artistic legacy that we leave, because I never was going to have one. I was never going to be in a position to do any of this. You're the one who put me in motion to be able to do this type of stuff. And not in a million years would I have spoken to any of the amazing people if it wasn't for that one silly day. You're like, dude, you ever thought about doing a podcast? And because of that, we are where we are. So I understand that it's a little frustrating sometimes because the content that we put out is a labor of love. But I will always think back on this stuff and be like, wow, we fucking did that.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It really is beautiful. Right. Thank you so much, Charlie, for coming on. We'll what I'll do is, in fact, what I'm going to do on the run up to this episode going out, I'm going to release 2 pictures a day on the run-up of what he sent me and what he's worked on. There we go. We'll pay homage to Charlie with a week's run of his artwork and what he's worked on. There you go. That's what I'll do with these pictures. Yeah.
And I'll make sure that, because I do love 90s. I'm a part of a bunch of like 90s groups. I'll make sure that I pump this episode out because it'd be a shame for people not to hear Charlie in all his fucking greatness. Just how kind and generous he was. It would be a fucking shame. So I think, guys, if you're listening to this and you really enjoy that interview, like I know you did because we fucking enjoyed it, make sure you kind of share this extra hard because we need people to hear this guy, Charlie, go on about the amazingness that is Charlie. Fuck, the people got to hear it.
I agree. Now we need to dive into some controversy, and it is cartoons again. And this is when this is going out. This is a week after this is all blown up. So if it's a week old news and you're not talking about it anymore, like what the fuck are these guys going on about? That's why we're talking about it now. We're talking about what's going on with the new Space Jam movie. There's a lot of controversy. Seems to be an awful lot of controversy about silly things at the moment. Dr. Seuss is apparently offending people. There's things going on Disney Plus where they're putting like guidance ratings on like old classic Disney movies, things like this. You know, it's just now this next one is a bit odd. So I'm going to share a picture now. The one on the left, a bit blurry. I don't know why it's doing that, but the one on the left is the original Babs Bunny from Looney Tunes, and the one on the right is the new one. They have said that Babs Bunny was over-sexualized. She didn't need boobs that big, and they have made her look powerful and sporty-like. And I kind of like the new one. I think the new one's really good. I really like it. But...
I mean, I really would never have noticed if it wasn't called attention to. And I think that's kind of the problem is people are drawing attention to the wrong things right now. Like, we should be more celebrating the fact that there is another Space Jam movie, not the fact that, oh, they changed it, or, oh, they did this, oh, fuck you. Just let it be what it is, and let's just enjoy it as it comes. Why taint it with your bullshit just because, it's not what you remember?
I mean, like, You just worded it exactly how I would have worded it exactly. Like that's like I agree with that new image, but I wouldn't have noticed if you hadn't changed it. I wouldn't.
No, but at the same point in time, I know that there's been a litany of memes and shit about Babs Bunny, or not Babs Bunny, Lola Bunny for the longest time, because a bunch of dudes are like,
Lola?
dude, no,
Is that a name? Is that a name? Sorry,
yep, Lola Bunny.
My bad.
Babs is Tiny Toons. By the way, did I say Paul Dini or did I say Tom Dini? Did I fuck that up?
I don't know. I'll have to listen back to it.
You'll let me know. You'll rag on me. You'll be like, you fucking idiot, trying to put your name with Paul Dini.
On Wednesday, I'll be like, hey, it's Mr. Tom Dean.
Yeah, maybe he'll come on and be like, hey, Paul Dini, Tom Dini. Yeah, people always went on about how they got like some of their first, boners from watching Space Jam, and I think that it was more as a thing to try to entice, bugs, not to entice us, because clearly it's a cartoon, clearly it's a rabbit, so why would it be trying to get us all horned up for the cartoon? But it worked on a lot of people.
I mean, it's at that point now they've changed it. I'm kind of like, yeah, okay, that's fine, that's cool. That's the ideal way to look at it. But you got some of these 40-year-old guys that are like, no, why are you changing this? This is my youth you are talking about. They're getting really angry about it. Like, there's some people that are like, for fuck's sake, cancel culture, all this sort of stuff that's going on. But I think this is healthy. It's good. It kind of, if you can encourage a few young women to go out there, young girls to go out there and get sporty, get into basketball. I've spoken to some amazing people that have gone out there and done amazing things for women in general. And I always think that's heroic. I really do.
And what's wrong with a little bit combination of both, by the way? Like, if we remember a really popular group back in the day called the Spice Girls. Now, they all inherently had attributes of different parts of culture that was girls. Sporty Spice, Scary Spice, Ginger, all the Spice Girls. They all kind of like honed in on one part or another of what it's like to be a girl, and they all came together to be the super girl group. Now, they did this while empowering young women, but also enticing young men. What's the problem with both?
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like this is if anything, I think girls could do with a bit of help more now than ever, because you've got this OnlyFans. We're in this OnlyFans sort of era right now where it's very easy to whack on some skimpy underwear and entice guys to give you money for flash. Right? And that's just kind of where we are at the moment. That's it. But I would like to see that there are some things out there that are encouraging girls to go out there and actually do something. There's more to life. You can do a lot more. You can inspire more. You can win accolades. You can win Emmys, and you can make cartoons, and you can go out there and do things because you want to. There's it's a tricky situation, I think. Dr. Zeus, go fuck yourself. Don't fuck with that shit.
I completely agree with you, and I'm really glad that you've been to my OnlyFans page, because you just described it to a T, Alex. I mean, I am just all in my skimpy underwear. Yeah, it's weird, the Dr. Seuss stuff, right? And a lot of people are like throwing out WAP with it, which I don't know if is a fair comparison. I know they're going for like, look, this is the limits of what's been put out this year, and this is like the most wholesome of it. What is the thing with Dr. Seuss? Because I've seen very little about it, but it's everywhere.
Let's get a story up now. Dr. Seuss.
Which, by the way, guys, Dr. Seuss is fucking dead. So can we just let him rest in peace by chance?
Oh, shit. Okay, so. Dr. Seuss can be racist, but we still keep reading. That's the 2019.
How can Dr. Seuss be racist? He drew fucking black kids in his books. If we remember Cat in the Hat, one of the kids was black, if I'm not mistaken. Am I wrong?
It says here, this is from the Vintage News, and this is from 2018, so this isn't the first time this has been brought up. But it says here, Dr. Seuss criticised for offensive characters and using the word burp. When you think, it says here, when you think controversy, chances are you tend not to think about Dr. Seuss or children's books in general. After all, these books were brightly coloured pictures with brightly coloured pictures, and clever rhyming schemes are often designed to be fun and inoffensive as possible. And while there might be the occasional book that is released with questionable themes, for the most part, we tend to look elsewhere for controversial statements and ideologies. Few would imagine that the colourful, fun, and nonsensical books of Dr. Seuss generated controversy. Who out there would look at the ridiculous green eggs and ham and find some of controversial statement? Seuss's work was primarily light-hearted and silly, meant to simply help kids and want to read and make reading fun. It was harmless, so no one would. But it says, in truth, Theodore Geisel, best known by his pen name Dr. Seuss, wrote a few works that managed to generate some controversy as he pushed the boundaries of what topics a children book could cover. One such controversy was the use of the word burp in a short story, Yertle the Turtle. Published in 1950, the word burp wasn't seen in a particularly pleasant word and considered quite rude. What? It's a bodily function. These were an internal battle between the publishers and Seuss about the inclusion of the word, fearing that it would cause a serious problem with consumers who didn't want their children exposed to the word. Fuck you, America! Again, you're fucking crazy. What the fuck? I mean, like, we're talking. I remember there was a huge controversy about sex education in the UK. They wanted to gently sort of expose children. That's not the problem. Start teaching sex education to children, but in a ways of, what is a healthy relationship? Is holding hands okay? Is it okay for an adult to touch your leg? What happens when someone hates you, when someone bullies you? And then sort of start weaning the kids. But when adults started hearing sex education mentioned when it comes to children, oh, the outrage. How dare you teach my 6-year-old girl that she's going to have a period when she's 12 years old? What the fuck? Like, it's just crazy. Like,
the world is full of misinformation. Wouldn't you rather our kids have good information than learn? Like, I know I, for one, learned all my sex knowledge. You know, really quickly, what grade did they give you? Like, we had a video in 5th grade before we went into middle school.
Yeah,
it was like a rite of passage. You got to watch the sex ed video, and then you kind of got all like the factual knowledge. It was all like, we get to watch the video that we heard about from our brothers and sisters and our friends. And it's better that our kids learn the proper way. And I also want to bring something else up really quick. One of my favorite quotes of all time is from Dr. Seuss. So the Lorax. The Lorax has this quote: if someone like you doesn't care an awful if someone like you doesn't care an awful lot, the world's not going to get better. It's not. Which is something we should all live by, because it tells you a life lesson. And I can't believe they're just taking it. But let me remind you of a author named Roald Dahl. Roald Dahl, famously for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, The Witches, the BFG. The Twits. He wrote books that were for, you know, little bit older kids, but still for kids. Can I please remind you that he made up a word that was in reference to a man's dick, which was the snozberries. The snozberries taste like snozberries. So when he was saying that, he was really saying the lickable wallpaper tastes like dick or balls, whatever it might be. And kids laughed. We didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. So you're really going to try to take something that a dude wrote back in the 50s, who can't defend himself right now, by the way. You're attacking a dead man. And you're trying to turn it into some sort of like alternative motive that he was racist. Fuck you.
I think this. I've never been. You know what I'm like. I've never been like, this is politically correct and insane and all this PC bullshit. I've never been like that, because I kind of look at things and like, okay, I'm going to think about that for a bit, and then if it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong, right? But how can we live in a world where South Park exists, WAP exists, and all the crazy shit that's going on in the world right now, and Lola fucking Bunny is being picked up because you don't have boobs? What the fuck's that all about? Like, it's just crazy. And now we heard on the last show about Eminem being pulled up and cancelled, and you're never ever gonna cancel fucking Dr. Seuss, Eminem, and fucking Looney Tunes. It's never gonna happen. They're too big. Like, so fuck off. Stop it.
Iconic is the word. Really, it's iconic. And if the government could not cancel Eminem back in the day? What chance do you think you have, my friends? So, and I know we're not speaking to our listeners because our listeners are generally in the same kind of thought process we are. That's why they listen to us. But I'm talking to anyone that might not be a listener. If you have a problem with these things, you really need to take a deep look inside and see what's really bothering you, because you are picking fights with things that make no fucking sense.
I'm trying to pull up a story now about something about Chicago. A Chicago lawmaker has apparently proposed banning Grand Theft Auto amid a carjack spiking. This is from February 2021. But we're back there again. We're back there again. There's a spike in car thefts. So let's ban a video game. We're going to blame the video games and not the fact that people are bored, broke as fuck, and just there's been a cutback on mental health. Kids aren't in school. They're not being taught the rights and the wrongs. We're not going to talk about all them issues. We're just going to ban a video game because that's the root of all evil, isn't it? Fucking, we're back there again.
Alex, it's because every kid that gets arrested from stealing a car will be like, well, I learned it on Grand Theft Auto. Nobody's fucking saying that. It's the same thing that happened with Columbine and Doom. And I'm sorry to bring up Columbine. This is supposed to be a comedy show, but the fact is that when Columbine happened, they pointed the finger at everybody. It couldn't just be two misguided kids that, didn't know how to express themselves and end up doing something really tragic. It had to be Marilyn Manson. It had to be Eminem. It had to be Doom. It had to be the Matrix. It had to be everything else in the world except taking responsibility for what was really the root cause of it all.
Yeah. So let's stop doing that, people, because there are problems out there that are bigger than the video game. I just can't believe we're back there. Anyway, we're meant to be doing a light-hearted show to try and make people laugh, and we've just been like, you know what? These are the problems with the world, and we're going to try and put them to rights. But no. What have you been up to this week? I know you've been working a lot, but have you been watching anything, playing anything new? What have you been doing with yourself, mister?
Nothing fun. Still just watching TV that makes no sense. I'm gonna get on WandaVision tonight. I'm surprisingly awake for a dude that hasn't been asleep yet.
Overtime now, you've hit that threshold wage, like
yeah. I'm just manic. Yeah. I'm probably gonna try to see when the new Rugrats comes out so I can start being like, I talked to that guy. That's the guy Daddy just talked to. So my kids will have a moniker of respect for me.
Yeah, Harley Quinn. Man. Fucking Harley
Quinn. Yeah, fuck yeah, man. That's about it, man. Nothing crazy. What have you been up to?
I've been playing No Man's Sky, which is it's so infuriating but so brilliant at the same time. There's this position I was in. I had to turn off this alarm in this building, and to do that I needed to create upgrade my laser, and to do that I had to go and get some ingredients from another planet. So I had to build a thing to build another thing to then just to turn off the alarm that I was standing right in front of. So that meant jumping in my ship, going to another planet, picking up these things, going to the space station, making this thing, and then going back just to switch off an alarm that was right in front of me. Stupid little things like that in this game that really pissed me off. But I'm like, but I'm making stuff and I'm colonizing stuff, and I'm British, and that's what we're supposed to do, right? No.
yeah, totally. You're like, where can I throw some tea in this motherfucker? Come on now.
I just gotta say, I'm addicted to this game. But I've also been gaming a lot with Jimmy, old Thorskin Jimmy. We've been playing a lot of Star Wars. Jimmy Bob.
I know. I gotta rag on
Shane Hinton. We've been every sort of weekend with me up there, my fire team. We're going. So I've been doing a lot. I've been trying to learn to enjoy myself, really, because I am working on hard at the moment. Yes. I spent ages today putting together. We do a thing once every 2 weeks for the Shrewsbury called the Virtual Market Showcase, where I bring independent traders. It's a live show. It's gotta fucking go right. So I'm like I'm putting pictures together, building the studio like I've done today. So I've done all that. I built this studio today. So I'm trying to I am putting in 2 or 3 hours a day when I'm off. And then when I've got time to edit, I'll sit and do that for hours as well. So I'm trying to enjoy myself as well, whereas I wasn't doing that before. Good,
Yeah, and that was kind of like we're gonna bring the place down, but that was the thing that was most noticeable when you were in your last position. Not that you were ungrateful, not that you didn't love, being around family all the time, but part of the problem with you being at your mother-in-law's house was that it wasn't your place. There was no place that you could go and relax. And if Timmy made a mess, you were always on the ball. And it was just so stressful for you that there was no real outlet for you to, this is an outlet, but this is also work. Like I show up, I get to have a good time. You know, I might bring the occasional guest, I chat, blah, blah, blah. But the real work behind the show is done by you. And not only this show, the network for the most part. And not only this network, but another network. And you have so much going on. So when you do say things like, oh, I took a couple hours and played No Man's Sky, or hey, me and Jimmy just got together and we played Battlefront for a little bit, makes me happy, and I'm grateful for the fact that you get that time, because it's important to play, man. Like we forget that as adults, that play is something that keeps us, you know, young at heart, and it keeps us healthy in the mind.
I've been thinking of my little boy was watching CBeebies today, which I know you guys get in America. Children's BBC, like Mr. Tumble and Teletubbies, and the very young channel, you know. And there's these presenters that have been a part of not just Timmy's life but our lives that I'd love to speak to. I'd love to, like with Charlie today. What's it like living in the life as a kids TV presenter? I want to get someone like that on the show, because I think it'd be very informative. I mean, on the last week's show, we spoke to a 17-year-old and a 16-year-old about them becoming the next big directors and the work they're putting in there. I feel like that's culture, and that's what we need to be doing. And that is why I do this show. That's the reward right there, is speaking to people like Luke Gallen, speaking to people like Charlie Adler, and seeing what life is about. Like that's why we do this shit, and I fucking love it. So I'm not gonna piss and whine about it.
I thought we did it because we love the sound of our own voices.
Oh, that as well. Yeah. Hello guys,
okay, cool.
and welcome to USUK podcast. Yeah, we're cool guys. We're quite the catch. But also, I didn't get to speak to Charlie about becoming a voice actor as well, because I didn't want to do the whole, if you ever need an English guy to do a role. I feel like he's the person to speak to if you ever want to get into it, because I reckon he'd give us a part in a small thing like that, and then we'd be on IMDb and be like, yeah, we're in Rugrats, yo, you know. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. Let's just abuse our positions that we've gotten into just by completely being like, hey, give us jobs. Not that we would, but hey, you know.
The people chatting in the background of Rick and Morty, you know, the ones that say like a one-liner, oh, why are you doing it? You know, give me I'd love to do that. That'd be a joy to me. Like,
yeah. Or, you know, we have met a lot of interesting people. I bet you one of these days somebody's going to see the merit in offering a couple of nobodies a role, at least you, because you've always kind of pursued this. And that was the one thing that we didn't actually ask Charlie. We were so busy gushing over him and having such a great normal discussion that we didn't ask how, if you wanted to get into a career like his, what's the best way to go about it, which is something we should probably ask him next time.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to go on the lines of just fucking do it, because that's what we've had a lot. It's just do it, man. If you're going to do it, just record a voice portfolio if you're doing voices and send them out. That's what I've never done. So I don't value myself in that way. I'm always like, oh, I am not worthy. But I should, definitely, you know, 1 point.
Absolutely.
But let's do that. I think we should do that next, because we're coming on to our second year soon of, our first year anniversary. We should see if one of us, me, TSU, whatever, can get on. Let's do that. That's fucking great. Let's see if we can get a voice on a TV show or a movie or something like that. Let's see if we can do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You probably, absolutely. I will be the backbone to support you of doing such a thing, because like that's never really been my goal. I never really wanted to be a voice person. Funnily enough, the wife has. Like the wife has always like been into making silly voices, and it was something she always kind of said was something that she could have seen herself doing if she wasn't in the career that she's in now. So I think she's really going to enjoy this episode actually when it comes out.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Oh, by the way, have we got a website, by the way? But where people can get in touch with us and stuff?
My God. Thank you for mentioning the fact that we have a fucking website. Hey, guys, guess what? We have a website. We have a website. And guess what? You can, too. We didn't just happen to luck into it. Well, actually, we did kind of luck into a website. But guess what? You can luck into a website if you just reach out to the good people at weborchard.com. Let me tell you a little bit about my friend Pete White and yours. He was an astronaut he was an immortal. He was a bunch of things. But the fact is, right now, he's a website designer, and he takes a lot of pride in this. So if you reach out to him, he's going to take a lot of pride in making your website. It's going to be functional. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be everything that you want and more, because he is the type of guy that cares. He's a lot like Charlie in that aspect. He cares about what he does, and he wants to give you the best product possible. Whether you're a creator on Etsy, whether you're an artist, you're a OnlyFans person, who knows what you do. I don't know how you support yourself, but guess what? If you get yourself a banging website, it could probably push you along a lot farther than if you tried some weird, shitty alternative thing to build your own, because you think you might have an eye for that, but guess what? None of us do. We all think we're good at something, but we're not. We're all just normal people. But guess what? Pete White, the fucking immortal, he will build you a banging ass website. I've used banging twice. I should stop doing that. So if you want a great website, if you just want to talk to a guy who has a lot of passion for his stuff, you need to reach out to Pete White at weborchard.com and get yourselves a fucking website.
Beautiful. I fucking love that. We're good at what we do.
I like it. Hey, Alex, what's the great shows that you can see on this website of ours?
Okay, let's get to it. USUK Network is a number of shows that are put together very cleverly to talk about culture, either side of the Atlantic or around the world. We don't care about that. If you're in Canada, we'll include you too. Nowhere else, just Canada. But no, I'm just kidding. We have a great number of shows. We have this show, which is What's the Difference podcast. And we speak to people from either side of the Atlantic, and we talk about culture. We also have the Weekly Bizarre Podstars, which is returning on the 12th of this month. We got season 2. We're starting off with the amazing Elsie Brown from the No Rules podcast group, and we've got podcasters lined up for the next sort of 6 weeks, and we will continue to do that. We've got 10 episodes of that to come. We also have USUK Chronicles with Jamie Westwood and Tom Stevens. That is a blurred picture, I'm very sorry, but they spoke to this genius recently, Ron Wasserman, who is he put together the theme tunes for the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, X-Men, and amongst many other great things. And it sounds like a great episode. I can't wait to listen to that. I haven't listened to it yet, so I can't wait to.
Fuck yes.
We also meet together every Wednesday for USUK Wednesday Night Live, and that is where we get together and we have a good old chinwag. Imagine if you could come down the pub with us. That's the closest we're going to get. So you can pour yourself a drink, unless it's us before Lent, or me before Lent, should I say, and come and have a chill-out session with us, because that's what that is. And like Tom says, you can find all of these things on our website at usuknetwork.com. There is links to our YouTube, Spotify accounts. All of our audio is listenable on that website. And you can also link you to Podbean, iTunes, wherever you get your audio. There's also a little bit about us as well. And you can get in touch with us.
Yeah, you can absolutely do that. There's also merchandise. You can buy yourself a USUK type merchandise thing. Or guess what, guys? If you want to be support, like it costs money, right? If you want to buy a piece of our merchandise, we don't get anything from it. We're not going to lie. If we get anything, it's very, very little. But we love knowing that you love what we do and you want to support us. But there's also another way to support us without spending a fucking dime. And all you have to do is like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about us, put the word out there. If you enjoy what we do, if you like the shows on the USUK network like as much as we do, if you like it as much as we like making it, put the word out there. Tell your friends, tell your grandmother, tell your dead boyfriend. I don't fucking know. Tell everyone. Tell your hamster. I don't care who you tell. Just tell someone.
I found a podcast the other night. I wish you could be here to listen to it. I miss you, but these guys from USUK, they keep me company. Amen.
Wow. Amen. I love it.
This has been What's the Difference podcast. I've been Alex Whiteley.
And I am Tom Bruno.
And we'll catch you later, fuckos. See you later. That's the wrong video.
That's the Wednesday Night Live video.
Let's try it again. This has been What's the Difference podcast. I've been Alex Whiteley.
And I'm Tom Bruno.
Get the fuck out of here. When it comes to culture either side of the Atlantic, no one does it better. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you USUK's What's the Difference podcast with Alex Whiteley and Tom Bruno.